have it. That should be the link there. There we go. I think we are all set to go racing for round 3 of the season. Just make sure we've got everything set up. And we're looking all good so far. G'day Prezzo. How's things, mate? Hope you're enjoying dinner. You've got some pretty cracked drivers taking your seats tonight. Not quite as cracked as this bloke though. I think BK has pulled the long straw, grabbing Lunacy for Kennedy Motorsport. That will be one he is very happy with, I suspect. Lunacy, of course, we saw driving for you blokes in FP for round 1 in the Supra, and he's got to get used to a new beast in the GTR. The GTR. Yeah, it should be good, mate. It should be very good. I'm going to ignore that driving comment, but we don't have to worry about my driving tonight. We do not have to worry about it. Another bloke's driving we should not have to worry about, PCP, in the lovely German Porsche. Definitely one of the best liveries on the grid this year. He has stepped it up big time with the presentation of his cars. That's a 51.9 there. Very good lap time from PCP. Only a quarter of a tank there in that Porsche, and his teammate Jamo now on an hour lap, looking to try and show a bit of pace after what has been a rough start to the season for the BCPRD man. As he clips the wall there, that's damage. That'll end his attempts for a whole lap right then and there. And here we go, the man who is actually taking the coveted number 5 seat, who has dented up the number 5 already. That's engine damage and heavy front left fender damage and suspension to the Toyota Supra, is Urgent PD 1966, who we saw driving for Rebo Satellite Racing at round 1 in the Lexus RCF, has stepped over to lend a hand to FP for this round. And I'm sure he will get up to speed relatively quickly once he can realise this damage is on heavy. Tim out there, who is... I thought he may have been on pause, but he is just sending it with the hazards on. It's been very, very quick so far, Tim. Him and Dynamite have been the 2 to watch in the warm-ups. They are looking like very quick drivers. Of course, we can't count out a couple of the guys. Ridwan, who has jumped in late. This is the man who is a 2-time drivers champion. I believe it's 2-time, maybe more at this stage. Someone who is a regular name in the tippy top of the FIA championships in Oceania as well as Asia. And he's wearing that number 1 on the door for a reason. BCP getting involved in the chat. The Porsches are looking good tonight, BCP. They are looking very tidy. Your man Tim leading the charge at the moment as he comes around turn 1. And he will be very keen to try and put behind him what has been an up and down start to the season. He's been very vocal on how the Porsche doesn't quite suit him. The understeer on exits isn't quite what Tim's looking for in a car. He's come from the very, very happy on the nose BMW M6 to something that's a little bit less so, and adjusting to it has been difficult. But we're seeing some really solid times from Tim here so far, so I think he'll be one to watch. Virgin, of course, is parked up, and Jamo as well, who hasn't quite wrapped his head around this Porsche yet. This will be a great track just to try and cut your teeth a little bit more, get race ready for the rest of the season. This is a long season with Project 1 GT, and these guys have got to be set for what is ahead. I hear a rumbling Toyota V8 about to come out of the pits. That would be Curving Texas, about to show his face in the Revo RCF, and there it is. The first of these RCFs that we've seen tonight, and he is parking up with Urgent, it seems. And curving as well as Blocky and Prying Stingray, rocking slightly edited liveries this week. A few more details on these guys, rocking a lot more carbon on the roof, so really utilising that carbon base. He's not giving the camera anything right now. We've got a Tube, another one of our highly well-known reserves. Tube was a member of the Open Race before we went racing in the All-Star race, and is stepping into Wagsy's number 45 car tonight. Unfortunately, Wagsy is unavailable for, I believe, maybe the entire thing. But we are ready to go now as BCP hits the button, and we're about to start qualifying. And I think if I had to put an early tip in for qualifying, it's going to be that man, Ridwan F1, who will take pole. But we have a 10-minute session yet to play out. Let's see what happens here. There we go. Tim, followed by Jamo, the first two cars out. The BCPRD boys getting a great edge on everyone. And you can see already, lots of these guys starting on the medium tyre. If we scroll back, mediums, 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 mediums. Dynamite and Ridwan starting on the softs, as well as Lane. So these guys, not keen to do that medium start. That's been a huge talking point coming into tonight. The talking point, of course, is two-stop strategy. Is it worth it? Alsace being a very high tyre wear track. This is a place that absolutely chews front tyres, and Tim is throwing that car at the apex there. Missed the apex by quite some margin, actually. Run through and just see who we've got so far. Of course, the BCPRD boys leading charge for qualifying right now, and giving us a nice little show. That looks fantastic on camera. These three Porsches. We'll look behind to Bodhod, who has been very strong with a reunited partnership in the Jaguar. And we know he likes this car, but this track is very difficult for the Jaguar. A front engine, big British V8. And you can understand front tyre wear is something that is going to bite that car quite hard. Lockie Rex, who has been one of the most improved drivers in the field that we have seen, has just been a standout for 2 seasons now. Someone who could have taken the title had Ridwan not existed, but of course he does, and we hate it. Curving Texas out in P6 there following, and I think that's Bodhod there easing off to let a couple guys through. Bodhod is on the medium, so we'll see him peel in at the end of this lap. Curving Texas, who he himself has said that he can't quite get to grips with this Lexus either. Texas and the Lexus. And again, Alsace would be a great place for him just to try and get a bit more confidence. A lot of guys very unfamiliar, as it's all bunching up here a fair amount. It's going to be hard to find your space here. We'll see who's going to dive in. Tim here coming around straight at the pits for Tim. Jamo as well. We'll dive into the pits in first gear. Blocky, curving, BK, and Bodhod, the first of our drivers who will continue on for a lap here. So we'll stick with Bodhod, and it looks like Dynamite as well behind him will be following on for a lap. Now, if I recall, Dynamite's actually on soft tyres here. Yeah, he is. So Dynamite may be able to grab a bit of a tow here from Bodhod, and this will be a very strong opening lap here from the ex-Revo driver. Someone who has been very happy to adjust to the team max speed ways. He's really happy with Smeggy Lane Everingham as a team boss, and has been settling into this Jag very nicely. Had some very strong results at Red Bull Ring and Seaside, and is following his partner in Bodhod, who I'm not sure, I don't believe they've ever raced together in a team, so it's a first time partnership for Bodhod and Dynamite. And then Tim behind him, just on his outlap now on softs. Banana, I don't know if there's anyone who's actually continued on other than those two. Tube has continued on. He started probably on the softs, and you just get the feeling he might get a bit swamped here. Tube on the softs, surrounded by a bunch of guys that were just on their outlaps. Prying Stingray behind him. The man, the menace, one of the most dangerous guys on the grid. His pace is frightening. You never know what you're going to get out of Stingray. He is a hard racer, a lightning quick qualifier, and someone you do not want to see in your rearview mirror. Tube's got it absolutely full right now. This is awkward because Prying Stingray not on a lap. Doesn't need to be pressuring Tube, who's trying to get a lap out of the Supra. We'll see, and that Stingray's just decided to pull off. Actually, the three Lexuses all pulled off as it gets a little bit tight there. BK behind as well, not seeing the need to fight for this. We'll go on back to the max speed Jags now. Oh, that's really wide there from Bodhod. He's let Dynamite through some way through this lap. We're looking at 50s for a possible pole. Dynamite goes to a 52.6 with Bodhod with a 54.6. So that's a fair way off the pace there for the two Jaguars. Not a bad banker from Dynamite, but I don't think it'll be anything. Right home, Tube there, and Lane goes to the top with a 52.2. That's a great time there from Lane. So into the low 52 straight away. Not sure if that was slipstream assisted. Urgent sets a 54.1, so again a little bit off the pace there for our two reserves. Tube as well with a 55.4. I'm sure these guys will be able to come up to scratch relatively quickly. See if we can't go back and see where the other boys are at. Ridwan here on an out lap on the soft tyres, and Lunacy gearing up for a hot lap here. And then we've got all the other boys as Kane dips a wheel in the grass there, using a little bit much of the track. Go here to Tim, who is stuck in a fair amount of traffic. As he throws it now into the sweeping left-hand corner, right up behind Bodhod, so he's getting a great tow here from our Season 1 champion. And I'm probably calling him a Season 1 champion when he's not. And that's actually, yeah, that's clearly held up Tim there. So Tim losing a fair amount of time going into the bowl. That's going to be less than ideal for the BCPRD man, as the DS4 has departed. And we'll check in with Dynamite, who has seemingly pressed on. And just missed the sector split for him actually, so we won't get a readout on how he's going. I don't believe he's purple on his team boss lane. And we may even see, with the timer just above 4 minutes now, we may see Dynamite come in and just try and get set for one final run. May get 2 laps in. Just see what he does here as he comes across, and it'll be into the pits for Dynamite. And we'll shoot back to Tim here, who's coming to the pits as well. We'll see who we can catch on a lap, if we can get anyone. That's BCP there, up to P3. The Porsche showing its teeth. And Jamo following him in there, and that was Blocky to the top, the 51.7. Blocky Rex with a very competitive lap time, the first man into the 51s, and Curving follows him. Actually, it was Curving who first set at 51, and Blocky bettered him by a 10th. So the Revo boys locking out the front row now with 3.5 minutes to go. Kane outside the top 8. That's a 57.8 from Kane, so he's a little bit off the pace there with that lap. But look back here, I think this will be Ridwan, who is now purple. Lunacy at 51.1. Wow. From the reserve, he is looking to put his best foot forward, and the man in the GTR is certainly doing that. But Ridwan right now is the man we're watching. The defending champion for FP Autosport, and he is pretty well purple on these times that we're seeing. Using as much of the road as he dares on exit here. He's a little bit compromised with when he came out of the pits. He's, you know, pretty high on fuel, not exactly the best tyre where possible. But we know Ridwan never leaves anything on the table there as he runs it a little bit deep into the penultimate corner. Coming around here, straight up against the rule, and surely this will be to the top for Ridwan, who sets a 51.5. He can't quite do it there, so Lunacy, Kennedy Motorsport currently at the top. Who would have thought that? This GTR, which seems more like a boat than a race car when you put it around Alsace, but Lunacy is finding it very easy to steer around at the moment. A 51.1, that is a flawless lap time there from Lunacy. I wonder how much he's got left in it. We'll go forward now and see who's on laps. I believe there should be a man back here. Tim Ant, who is on an out lap. Lunacy, of course, Curving and Blocky following each other here into the final chicane. And BCP pitting real late there. He's going to find this hard to find any kind of clear air. See these guys coming across the line. Any improvements? Bodhod maybe? No, can't improve there. 11th. And Tim Ant will start his... Or he might get another lap in after this. And Lunacy's actually chosen to walk back to the pits there. And Urgent has improved. That's a 53.9 now. Watching here, Kane to a 53.8. So the back of the field is getting pretty close. There's Urgent, who's just completed his lap. And surely more time to find now for the FP Autosport ring-in. Just adjust the YouTube chatter. Give me some bad info. And the big surprise at the moment surely has got to be Bodhod, who is currently only in 12th place and swamped by cars. And Curving seems to have pulled out of that one as he goes well off in the grass there. And there was a BCPRD car pulled off. That would have been Jamo. And Blocky Rex also perhaps slowing on this one. These guys should just get another lap in, so it'll be real tight. Bodhod and Tim really need to pull something out here. Didn't even notice the fact that Tim was well down the order as well, so leaving it till the absolutely dying moments. And Bodhod as well, importantly, is giving BCP a massive tow right now. And It's a second up for Bodhod, so this will be a decent game. We'll see if this was the sector where he lost all his time. This has currently put him 2.5 off, so maybe a 53.5 on the cards right now for Bodhod. And I would suspect he can definitely put it in the 52. He's running a little bit wide there, picking up the grass. Up and over this curve, braking zone is very hard to pick here. Coming down the hill, under the bridge, all of them diving on the brakes. Blocky's leading them all through. And we'll see how the times go here. It'll be Blocky Rex we see come through first. That's Dynamite there. Up to P6, so a great improvement there. Blocky can't improve. Bodhod to a 52.1. Tim does 52.4. These guys both jumping inside the top 8. BK with a 52.8. Just misses out in the top 8. That might P9 there. P10 for BK, so 2/10 off. And he's missed the line as well. So BK qualifying over P10. He will be sorely disappointed with that. And we'll try go back now and grab guys coming through. Kane here on his final lap, and he has chosen to go back rather than finish his final lap, which is disappointing. I believe Ridwan will be here as well. Coming through the final corner now. Ridwan looking to take pole off Lunacy. Can he get it done? Actually, this is an outlap for Ridwan. That's an outlap, so Ridwan will not be on pole there. Very interesting stuff. Good evening, KD. Disappointed not to see you on the grid tonight, mate. We'll see who's coming across the line now. That's Lunacy, who doesn't improve either. That may have been an outlap for Lunacy. Try and catch whoever's coming down into the chicane now. I wish this was easier. That'll be one of the back markers, I believe. Stingray, who's found himself at 15th, needs to nail this lap. It's not going to be pole for Stingray. Oh, it's not good at all for Stingray. Oh, 12th position. And he's had to leave that onto the mediums. Stingray missing out on a prime opportunity to kickstart his season. And he will start in P12 at the best. Only 1,000th ahead of Urgent. Look now to the start line. I'm not going to get it. That's Tube there, who does a 54.2. And we've got a bunch of cars coming through here, heading down. We'll look at Blocky. We know there's someone just ahead of him. Can't quite see who it is. And that's Dynamite down there looking to improve on his 7th position. Two of the BCP RD cars following him. That's BCP and Tim M. And we'll see if these guys can improve. Dynamite from P7 crosses the line. Can't quite improve. Blocky here. Won't find anything either. BCP and Tim, what can they do? BCP 52.2 and Tim and a 52.1 to cement their spots in the top 10. But it's Lunacy. The massive call by over 4/10. Lunacy has pole in that big beefy GTR. And who would have thought that? What a performance there from Lunacy. Well done. And he will surely be the man that everyone is chasing for this 22 lap feature race. Qualifying has now ended. And there are your results. It's Lunacy followed by Ridwan, Lane and Blocky. So 4 different teams in the top 4. And we gear up now for race time. As Curving not happy with how qualifying transpired for himself. The Revo satellite driver has ended up in P5. So that's not terrible to have 2 of the Revo drivers, P4 and P5. Definitely the best grouped of the teams. As we'll try grab some... Going to pull up the controller to make sure we get... There we go. All the lights now. 5 lights. We're waiting for the go. And off we are. Lunacy with a heavily wheel spin starts. Ribbon bogs it down. Blocky trying to go down the inside. Gets it up to P3. What's going to happen here at turn 1? They all file in. Curving's up to P2. Great start from the Lexus duo. And it all seems to be pretty clean now for these guys. 3 wide in the back, 4 wide in the back as Stingray tries to make moves. He's gone up to 8th place straight away. GTR's on the shocking start in the back. It is filing in. Lane Everingham has taken the lead out of nowhere. And it looks like Lunacy's just getting absolutely swamped. That GTR not known for its great starts. Lane on the soft tyre needs to extend a gap here. And Curving has popped into 2nd with Blocky behind him. Both on the mediums. Lunacy poking a nose there. Can't quite get it done. Lunacy, who has also started on the medium, so a similar strap. Blocky blocks him off. And these guys are playing for keeps. That's Banana Cake Pie down the inside. And not deep enough to get anything done on Dynamite. This is a very angry battle pack. Banana starting on the soft, so he will need to be making a lot of inroads. And there's Prime Stingray with someone down his side too. It's Bodhod trying to get the move done. And Stingray just managing to keep it on the track. He may have had 2 wheels off there. These guys playing for keeps in the midfield as 2 of the BCP RD cars go side by side. Jamo in the background trying to get something done on BK. BK running it real deep in there. Thought he was going to make contact with Jamo there. That was very close. By mistake, that was Tim there who I thought might have made contact. Lane here though, in the max speed, Lexus has checked out to a 1.4 second lead over Curving Texas. And we see in the background here, Lunacy and Blocky going side by side. And that was someone, I think that was someone in the wall. And maybe a bit of lag in the background there. I thought there was someone straight in the wall on the exit of that corner. And Dynamite and Stingray, two guys who have a lot of history. That's very close there on the apex. Dynamite giving him the big squeeze. And Bodhot down the inside of Stingray trying to make it happen. No space there. And Stingray now trying to get the inside. Dynamite blocks him off. And they're 3 wide up here again. Curving, keeping it in check, but just runs a little bit deep and allowing Blocky to get through. And these guys have got to be careful. Don't battle too hard. Lane is absolutely buggering off at the front. 3.6 seconds now that he has got over the duo, who is... They're clearly just trying to make sure no one passes them. Going side by side. Ridwan and Lunacy backed up by this. And look at them all. Stingray absolutely sanding into the background. And these guys on softs right now will be absolutely ruining the mistakes that left them in this battle. Look at that. Second place all the way to 10th within about a second at the moment. That is ridiculously close. A couple cars in the background just filtering out. But side by side is the flavour of the day as Stingray round the outside of Dynamite keeps the position. Great bit of racecraft there from Stingray, who follows Lunacy now, as it looks like these Revo boys have absolutely... yeah, they haven't quite settled at these guys. They're not sure who wants to lead, who wants to follow. But one thing's for sure, Ridwan is coming at them hard and fast. He's not going to wait around. Also on mediums is the defending season champion. Blocky starting high, curving low. Lunacy, our pulse hitter, just can't find Orr's jumper. That was really high and wide there. Lucky to gather that one up. We will just run through the tyres quickly, as these guys have no signs of stopping. So it's Lane on softs, followed by this absolutely mental battle pack that we see here, mostly on mediums. So it's Blocky and Curving on mediums, Ridwan also on the mediums, with Lunacy, Stingray, and it's Dynamite the first of the soft runners. So Dynamite is the first one who is being stung really hard by what's happening in this midfield. So he needs to be getting these moves done as he throws one there, and instead Bodhot's going to get one around his outside. Oh, did he make contact with the wall there? Oh, one to the fence! Oh, prying Stingray! Oh, as he's put it in the fence again, trying to get out of the way there. Great avoiding action there, but that is Stingray down for the count. See if we can get a replay there of what happened to Stingray. And it looks like it was... I actually can't see. Oh, he might have driven himself in there. So a really awkward moment there for prying Stingray. And you can see him there just trying to get out of the way. Stingray now in the pits, and that is a terrible way to start this race for Stingray. We'll go up to the front here. One man who hasn't started this race terribly is one of the 3 max speed cars. And we were just seeing before, actually, these cars now. Ridwan's actually lost a spot to... No, he hasn't. It's Lunacy who's all over him. He's going to drop a spot here to Lunacy, though. As Lunacy down the inside, Dynamite trying to make it 2 cars down his inside now. Get it done hard on the curb, makes contact with Ridwan, and he won't be too happy with that one. But Dynamite bowls a massive wide. Ridwan thinking about a comeback, but he can guarantee if Dynamite has told Ridwan he's on softs, he won't be fighting that one too hard. Bodhod is on medium, so I thought he may have been one of the soft runners. So that is more than okay for Bodhod to be where he is right now. Now BCP had started on the softs and will be hurting big time with all of this right now. So BCP is not looking too flash when it comes to the late part of this race. Tim starting on the mediums. A stronger call there from the number 22 driver, who we said earlier actually was looking really good in the warm-up, and he just hasn't quite made it work in the race. And then Jamo on the mediums as well, who was under threat from Urgent. Looking down the inside, Urgent on softs with a lot more grip than the Porsche, and he's just unable to get the move done. And now that leaves BK with rear wing damage, actually. So BK on the soft tyre, so that's actually going to be really detrimental to his stint. Yeah, that's going to be a hard race here for BK. And then Kane follows BK in the second GTR on mediums as well. We then have Tube with front damage. That may have actually been front to rear Tube to BK that we may have missed somewhere in the melee. And then of course Prying Stingray comes across here, P15, so this is going to be a very long race for Prying Stingray. We'll go back up here to the fight that we were hoping would still be going for second. Blocky seems to have just left Lunacy on his own. and a little bit more tyre wear actually on the front tyres of Blocky's car as compared to the big GTR of Lunacy. Lunacy, who is known for being a very smooth driver and one of the best that we've had here in Project 1 GT. And they're still going at it for 7th place from the looks of things. Curving Stingray just keeping check here. Oh, that's not Curving Stingray, that's Dynamite. And that's Curving Texas. Well, I just created a new PSN. Dynamite trying to make something happen here. Around the outside, it's doable at the bowl. And Curving's just going to hold his line. No, Dynamite round the outside. Very opportune move there from Dynamite. That was fantastic. Let's see if we could just get a nice replay of that. As you can see here, on board with Dynamite, and Curving left him the room. And that is a very tidy overtake, I would say. And we don't want to type, that would be the exact opposite of what we want to do. Made that move stick, and Ridwan as well has made it work on Tex, who might think about a move, not quite. And then a fair bit of an air gap now forming back to Tim and BCP, who is being hurt the most by this. And now he's got Bodhod all over him on the medium tyre. And you almost wonder if BCP's been hit by a bit of a tyre glitch here, as that's someone diving in the background. I believe that was BK, who has finally elected to take the pain and get rid of that rear damage. And Blocky now, who had a decent gap back to Lunacy, and Lunacy's just reeled it back in, not without company either, so he's got Dynamite tagging along at 7/10. Ridwan just at 6 now, 7/10 as well, and they are still very close to Curving. So this sort of 2nd to 6th block is still very lively, and they've got something to prove. So we're very close now to the pit stop window. Of course, the mediums and the softs both have a required stint length of 6 laps that you must have on both tyres. And this doesn't have to be in any one particular stint, you can split it out. So you can, for example, run 3 laps on the medium at the start, 3 laps on the medium at the end. But we've seen that doing it in one chunk is definitely the way to get it done. This grid is still tightening up, so Lunacy now only 3/10 off Blocky, who seems to be struggling more and more with his front tyres. And we'll just actually have a check of fuel here. So Blocky looking like he's sitting at maybe... he's looking like he's going to lose a spot here to Lunacy. He's trying a very ambitious overtake on Blocky. That is a very tough place to overtake. And Lunacy trying to get a run here, not well known for traction as the GTR, so he's just going to pull back in here. But Lunacy with... Actually, it's looking like similar tyre life now, but much better straight line speed. He'll be able to pull along the outside here and probably get him done over the brakes. But Blocky doesn't want any of it. He goes in real deep, does Blocky. Pulls a slide job, and here come the cavalry. And everyone... Now, that was so close to the wall, Blocky. Oh, he's scaring me watching this. He's got Lunacy all over him now. Dynamite in behind watching. This will be a great view to watch as Lunacy just escorts Blocky wide, and Dynamite now liking his chances. We'll go to Ridwan, who is going to be able to watch this as they go 3 wide near up the straight. Lunacy with the straight line advantage over these two, and it looks like Blocky's going to lose 2 spots in the space of 200 metres. And Ridwan might make it a 3rd if he's ballsy enough, but Dynamite going for the Hail Mary and slides it up the inside. Lunacy caught off a little bit. Blocky makes it around the outside, and the overlap's gone. So Blocky just steps it wide there. So a small mistake there at a crucial time, and Lunacy's going to be able to take that 3rd spot back. Ridwan's just got to watch and wait. And I can't actually see the tyre wear on Ridwan's car with this view. That's a little frustrating. But you'll see Dynamite there on this soft tyre will absolutely check out now. So if I can... Nope, that's not going to give me anything. That will though. And it's going to give me a bunch of glitches. So we'll stick on here with Ridwan, who is going to give us the best view for this fight for 3rd. And we fully expect that Dynamite will bugger off. And there's Lunacy. How did he get that run? Lunacy out of nowhere. What a move there for the Kennedy Motorsport Reserve. And Blocky is left powerless. And Dynamite's actually left himself open to this as well. So Dynamite not really having the pace that he should at this stage on the soft tyre. As these guys are fighting like it is the final lap. It's lap 6, boys. Calm it down. They come over the hill now. So, of course, this is the lap where the medium runners can pit. And I fully expect that Blocky and Curving will both come in. And perhaps a couple of the others as well. So Dynamite will definitely continue on here. Lunacy continues. Blocky in, Rid one in, and so is Curving Texas. Tim as well will come in. Botthot! Botthot's hit the fence! Oh, so we've just missed that in the background. Botthot with huge contact with the fence there. Luckily, I assume he was going to come in anyway. We'll see what's happened here. Oh, and he's just tagged it. That's basically an invisible wall. Oh, rotten luck there for Botthot, who was doing oh so well for Team Max Speed. Lane now left with a decent gap, and it's Dynamite or Lunacy who are going to keep battling it out for second and third. We'll see here where the others have rejoined. Banana continuing on with a large deficit to the rest of the soft runners. 14 seconds off the lead, so that'll be done and dusted for Banana. Urgent as well, and Urgent's actually going to be the cork in the bottle because it's Blocky who is leading the soft runners, and this is surely the start of what will be the first two-stop strategy of the season. So Blocky, oh, Urgent, no, don't do this, mate. Oh, yeah, that's less than wise driving from Urgent, who is currently on worn softs, not in the race that Blocky, Rid one and Curving are, and he's fighting this one pretty hard. And I think he's just realised there as he backs out of it and lets those three go, who are fighting for the podium. And I'm sure Urgent, in following them this closely, will be able to pick up a thing or two. That could have been disastrous. We'll watch here now as these three, that was actually wide from Urgent there. You've got to hope that Jamo doesn't get caught up in this. And he's found the fences, Urgent. That's surely going to be damage there. And no, somehow avoids damage. And Tim will try and get a piece of this as well. And he's just going to be held up a little bit, it seems. Trying to go for the wide line. The Porsche not liking that. And we'll check in here with our leaders. Lane continuing on. Lunacy defending from Dynamite. And Lunacy surely will realise that he has to come in now to protect from the undercut. And he does. And I'm not sure how much... Oh, Banana's caught the wall there. Oh, that was very close. Just see if we can grab that on replay. This is a little bit longer of a replay than I would have liked. Banana here coming into the final chicane. And he's run it really deep, struggling to turn that car on the worn softs, and he's tagged the wall. Oh, that is so lucky from Banana. That is so lucky. It will continue on with no damage. And Blocky and Rid one now very close to him. These guys have got to play smart because it seems like they are the only two stoppers unless Lane's going to do a double stint on softs. We've got to remember Tim came in at the same time, so Tim will also be two stopping from the looks of things. And it looks like these guys have done their homework when it comes to strategy. I believe... Oh, it's Curving there, chucks it down the inside. And he's trying to take P6, P5 off of Rid one. And looks like he's just going to get the move done there. And he does. So another spot there for the Lexus over the Supra. And Blocky now has caught the back of Banana. So within a second now, he's going to be feeling the effects of dirty air. And he's going to want to be clearing Banana as soon as he can to keep this up. And actually important to look at too. Lunacy has tumbled back to P10, so he had a huge loss there with the undercut. The one medium's clearly not holding it up to the fresh soft tyres. And his battle with Dynamite wouldn't have helped either. Actually, BK really hasn't lost that much at all to Lunacy, so that has been a net loss for Lunacy. Less than ideal. And it's all going from bad to worse for the pole setup. Kane, followed by the BCPRD boys who are gaining on him big time. Tin, who losing a bit more time than he would have hoped. I think Jamo ahead is on worn tyres, so yep, so worn mediums for Jamo. And surely he'll come in as he's sliding his way through the corner. Manages not to make contact. This will be Jamo into the pits. No, continues on. And surely he'll make this one easy. A bit of a back off, and he does there. So backs off and let his teammate through. Very smart driving from Jamo, who is in it for the long haul from the looks of things. And Lane, who is now on lap 9 on these soft tyres, is definitely in for the long haul. He is committing to the one stop. So too Dynamite, who is 12 seconds behind Lane. So it definitely won't be Dynamite in it for the win at the end. Blocky is way too close for that. And he has got Banana now cleared with Rid one right behind. And you'll hope too Banana doesn't put up too much of a fight here as Rid one dives out, looking to make the move stick straight away. Curving will try and follow him through if he can. Less grip underneath that Porsche at the moment. And more straight line for the two cars alongside him now. As they're side by side through the kink, you always just wince a little bit as they go through there. And and Banana just not able to live with the grip. Curving tried to go around the outside there as well. Sneaky move there from Curving Texas. And pulls it off. That was very tidy. Banana giving us a little flash as well. Grab the onboard there. Oh, just missed it. That's disappointing. Yeah, that was a great move there from Curving Texas. Fantastic stuff. As he follows here in P5, you've got to think here, it'll be P4 at the worst as Banana chucks it into the corner. That was, no holding back there from BCP, the team owner of BCP RD. So check in with the leaders. Lane now doing a 53.4 on lap 9, and Dynamite looking like he is a little bit slower than that. Dynamite's been in the high 53s now since lap 6, so the tyre wear's biting him a little bit harder. And we've got a test account following us here. Good evening. How are you? Joined at an interesting time. There's a decent strategy battle going on at the moment with Blocky Rex, Ridwan, Curving, and Timian all trying to make the 2-stop work and chasing down the 1-stoppers of Lane and Dynamite. And it looks like Dynamite's not going to be able to get away with it. Only a 3-second gap now between himself and Blocky Rex, and it's going to be very fresh softs going on Blocky Rex's car at the next pit stop. Tim-Ant, who will surely be able to get the move done on Banana sooner rather than later. 52.4 last lap, and it's Lunacy who's grabbed the fastest lap last lap with a 51.7. Oh, you're German. Oh, how did you find the stream? That's great to see. We're expanding our horizons a little bit. Lunacy, they're going purple with the news that we've got a fan from Germany watching the stream tonight. And he's got his teammate Kane ahead of him now, who I believe is still on worn tyres as Kane. And hasn't yet made his first pit stop. So Kane, who is lagging a little bit actually, that's not what we want to see. He's going to let Lunacy go through and keep on challenging for a podium. It'll be a very difficult podium for him to get now, as I'm sure he will recognise. Blocky still leading this charge for the podium, and there is Dynamite. They have got him in their sights, and Dynamite surely is going to have to take a very well-deserved pit stop, probably this lap. You can see the front tyres on that Jaguar are absolutely spent, and his team owner Lane has just continued on. But surely we'll go on board with Blocky. We will see that Jag veer off into the pits, and he doesn't. He continues on for another lap. So Dynamite taking the pain. Surely by this stage he knows the errors of his ways. He knows this is not going to go well for him. Blocky, BCP's now come in from 6th position, I believe that was. So he's freed up Tim-Ant to go and chase these leading 3 2-stoppers. Blocky now, who's got the frustration of trying to catch Dynamite. This may actually be a bit of a ploy from Dynamite just to make sure that Blocky, Ridwan and Curving aren't able to catch Lane, because that gap is coming down rapidly. It was a 52 flat from Blocky last time and a 54 flat from Lane. So they are catching at 2 seconds a lap. And once Lane gets on the mediums, it is only going to get worse. So we'll have a look at some of the attitudes of this Jaguar. It's looking pretty understeery right now, so Lane clearly comfortable with how it's going. He's braking and downshifting coming into the bowl, so nothing too dissimilar. And Blocky has now cleared Dynamite. Dynamite's actually been cleared by all of them. So in a relatively short space, they've gotten it done. So first he's been shuffled out wide by Blocky. Ridwan making use of the situation as well. Surely there's a bit of contact here on the kick. No, Dynamite just can't get it turned. And then Curving diving down the inside as well. Very clinical there from all 3 of them. Great driving too from Dynamite, just to have the presence of mind that these guys were coming through. Back seems to be a bit of a battle back here for P13, and it's BK who has not long ago cleared. Actually, he's just taken a pit stop, BK, so he's onto the soft tyres now. And this may be fuel to the end for BK, who is running a damage control race. And it's Lane now making his first stop, so this is going to be key. Lane will have to fuel this car up if he's planning on going all the way, and there it is, fuel's going in. Blocky Rex shooting past the pit lane, Dynamite as well coming in, not nearly as good a save as he needs to get, but it'll be Blocky Rex who takes the lead with Ridwan and Curving following through for P2 and P3. Tim-Ant as well gets P4, and Lunacy will rejoin behind Lane there in P6. And this is crucial, so Lunacy Is he fueled up till the end? Lunacy will be very tight of going to the end here. And Ridwan actually is just taking the lead. So Ridwan down the inside of Blocky Rex. And Blocky's not done with it. He's going to have a bit of a fight with this. And he's not going to take no for an answer. He wants to show Ridwan that he's not going to roll over for him. But he just might not have the pace to live with him at this stage of the race. Ridwan with help with curving Texas. And it just looks like, yeah, Blocky's using his fronts a fair bit harder than what Ridwan is. And he's got a bit less fuel as well. So Blocky with a fair disadvantage, it could be said, to the FB Autosport man. And if we just go to curving as well, who has used even more fuel than Blocky. So curving has been sipping the fuel like nothing else. And probably similar tyre wear to the Kiwi. But these three are in a class of their own right now. T-Man, who is just not finding the pace on the fresh softs. Plenty of fuel though. But with a freshly serviced Lane Everingham chasing him down. And he's got Lunacy as well for company. Lunacy who's still... No, he's actually been beaten to the fastest lap by Ridwan. So a 51.2 Ridwan has landed himself. And you'll expect that from here Lane will be able to go all the way on these mediums. But it won't be without its hardships. I think Lane will definitely be in a better position than 5th come the end of the race. But it's not going to be easy to get there. As he slides it in using the rear brake on that Jag and just trying to get all the rotation he can, leaving absolutely no gap to the wall, making sure that this is not an easy move for Lunacy to make. Blue flags there being shown. Don't know who would be at the back. Tube hasn't been lapped, Jamo hasn't been lapped, so maybe just some errors in the blue flags there. And it's Ridwan who was checked out, still doing 51.5s on these. How many laps is this now? Those are 7, 8 lap old softs. So Ridwan showing why he's the form man in this championship. And he's absolutely checking out. 1.6 seconds back to Blocky, who is still being helped along by curving Texas. You can see Blocky's just struggling a lot more with his times. Went straight to a 52 at lap 10. And then back into the 53s last lap. So that was a pretty dodgy lap. And curving, you'll think, will have to pit this lap. Still in the 52, so his tyre wear has actually been a little bit better. Probably helped by the fact he's got a lighter car. But he will have to save a fair amount of fuel to get it to the end. It's been roughly 7% per lap is the fuel burn for these Lexuses. That's about what all the cars are nailing at the moment. We can look back as Lunacy's actually get the job done on Lane. So Lunacy, who will have to stop one more time in this race. I'm sure those softs will not make it another 9 laps. And Lane, who is fueled and ready to the finish. So this is going to be a very interesting race come the end. 9 laps to go now, about 20 minutes, just less than, until we can see who's going to be at the top here in the Alsace village. But at the moment, it's still Ridwan with Tony the Tiger on the front. And he wants to take that Tiger all the way to victory lane if he can. That's lap 13 completed now as curving is deciding to start the undercut. That was a complete lack of fuel from curving, so not quite getting the fuel save you would have liked out of that Lexus. And he chucks on a brand new set of soft Michelin Pilot Sports to get that RCF to the end. We'll see where he rejoins here. Kane coming around the final corner, who also enters the pits, as well as Stingray, who has had a torrid race so far. Curving now fueled to the finish, and it's going to be BCP who comes around to see him in turn 1. That's actually a 53.5 from BCP, so a personal best lap here on the mediums. Not a bad lap, BCP. He's definitely got the pace. If only that opening stint had gone a little bit better for him, we may have seen him a little bit closer to the front pack with Tim, Blocky, Ridwan, and even curving. So a huge gap we can see too between curving and Lane Everingham. So that's the gap he's got to chase down. It's 14.3 seconds, 14.2 now. This goes back up to 3. That's what he has to find in the final 8 laps of his stint, curving Texas. So that'll be about a second and a half, a bit more than a second and a half per lap. And if we see what times Lane's doing at the moment, he's sitting in the, you could probably say he'll be doing mid 53s. So would have to see high 51s, low 52s from curving if he wants any chance at catching Lane Everingham and having a go at this win. This will be a nice little undercut for curving too. So these guys got to play it smart. There is hardly any fuel now left in the back of that Toyota Supra. And Blocky as well is running on fumes. He might be very close to running out here, coming in on lap 14. As he brakes hard now, coming into this final chicane. And he's still got a bit of go in him. I think that thing's out. That's about to run out. Made it all the way to the pit lane with absolutely nothing. And Tim as well, taking this opportunity. He was actually overfueled, was Tim. So he's going to have enough. Yeah, look at that, 16 litres there for Tim Ant. So thinking ahead in his first stop was Tim. It's a very clever play there from the BCPRD man. He'll be able to fuel up a little bit less than those two ahead of him, as Ridwan's already coming out. We'll look at curving. Just lost curving there. It's coming out of the main straight here, around turn 1. And he can still see the back of Blocky Rex and Ridwan. So Ridwan with a decent gap, surely underfueled though. Probably to about 55%, I would say. Slightly less than Lane, slightly more than Lunacy, who has been very marginal on fuel before. We saw him run out of fuel on the line at Seaside, and it may have cost him the race win against Lane. Blocky and Curving with similar amounts of fuel. Blocky, who has been saving slightly more efficiently than Curving in the first 3 rounds, who is comfortable to run a little bit less fuel in that Lexus. And then we've got Tim, who has underfueled that thing massively, so he's either not using the fuel that everyone else is, or he has just tried to close the gap a little bit to those Revo RCFs. And then suddenly, BCP as well, in the background, who we think may have to take another stop. Maybe, we'll see. He's got Dynamite now hunting him down on a slightly fresher set of mediums. So this race has kind of just turned a bit pear-shaped for Dynamite and BCP, but they can definitely get a solid top 8 finish out of it. As we'll go now to Lunacy, who has a 2.3 second gap to Lane, and these tyres are going off pretty rapidly now, setting a 52.2 last lap. We'll see what it is now. You've got to assume there's some sort of natural degradation. That's Lunacy, who's going to be coming into the pits. So this makes it interesting. Lunacy, who might have had the fuel, is choosing not to take the chance. Lane, who has already signed and sealed his subscription to the One Stop. And we will see him all the way to the end. It's 6 seconds now between Lane and Ridwan. Lunacy now is coming out of the pits and is behind Ridwan. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is a box office fight you are not going to want to miss. It is Lunacy, fuel to the finish on fresh softs, with Ridwan ahead with 1 lap older soft tyres. And it is Supra versus GTR, Toyota versus Nissan, Ridwan versus Lunacy. And how will this one go? They have got 7 laps now, 6.5. to sort this one out. This could be the battle for the race win. If Lane doesn't have the pace to hold it out front in that big beefy Jaguar, it may be between Ridwan and Lunacy for the race win. The pole-sitting man versus the defending P1 GT champion. Don't go anywhere. This is going to be fantastic. And look at this too, closing up for 4th place. Blocky, Curving and Tim all trying to keep in touch with those 2 absolute weapons in first, actually 2nd and 3rd, as well as the weapon in first, and they're closed up already. Lunacy all over the back of Ridwan. He wants to get this fight done now. He wants to have the big fight right now on lap 16 and sail off into the distance. He thinks he's got more pace than Ridwan, and Ridwan will want to show him he is wrong. And Ridwan straight away running defensive there into this little king, and using the traction of that Supra. Neither of these cars particularly good on traction, but they'll be using every ounce they can get. They will battle it to the death. They've got to be careful here. They do still have to be gaining time on Lane, or they will never catch him. Even on the mediums he's on, he's got just enough pace where he can run this one to the end and still be competitive. But he's got to watch out for Blocky, Curving and Tim, who will be coming hard and fast towards the end. And I'm sure they'll be running the laps they need to. Ridwan here, who sets a 51.26, very close to his PB. And setting the times he needs to. Lunacy, he'll be setting that 51.2 to his watch. He'll be wanting to beat that time this lap in the slipstream now of the Supra and getting a great tow up this straight. Lunacy, he'll be trying to shape him up. Wonder where he can make that move as he pokes the nose slightly there. Just wants to make Ridwan nervous. And he's making me nervous in the comms box as he slides it out there. And that GTR already showing it uses its rear tyres a little bit more than its fronts. Lunacy having the right line through there, gets a better run than Ridwan. This is an opportunity, Ridwan running defensive, Lunacy with 3 tenths purple here. and Lunacy not able to get it done around the outside. Ridwan, a master of defending, someone who is not easy to overtake at any time of day. And Lunacy's going to make it his mission to try and get it done. But not quite there. This gap's still closing now to Lane in the front. Only 3.1 seconds now between Ridwan and Lane. As Lunacy here, just trying to see if a different line can help him through the bowl. And he's gained up to him, so it's just a 1/10 of a second now between the second and third place man. I should say, as Lunacy seeing if he can get anything done. Ridwan, wise to it, knows it is going to be a very weird day when he can get overtaken into third. As they come up now, up this sweeping uphill left-hander, running up and over the hill, the GTR all the time, hounding the Supra, trying to get any bit of advantage he can. And it is now 2.3 seconds between Lane and Ridwan. The gap is closing every single microsector. As Ridwan runs it right to the wall, and he can see the man in P1, but he can see the man right behind him as well. Lunacy, who pulls out of the toe, just trying to make Ridwan sweat. And when you've got a car as big as the GTR, I'm sure you would be. Lockie as well, holding on for P4, has managed to gap curving 1.3. Tim's still behind 1.7, and Banana Cake Pie, who is a further 10.9, 11 seconds behind his teammate Tim. And Dynamite will be planning on a fight, I'm sure, with slightly more worn, actually he's got slightly fresher mediums than Banana. He will be able to run at him towards the end. And Lunacy here, who's having the big fight, there he goes. He's made the move, Lunacy. So we've just missed that as we stupidly decided to have a look back to BCP. We'll see how this one transpired. And it was around the outside. And Ridwan put up a fight there. He wasn't letting that one go easy. And in the end, the supremacy of the GTR won out. But Ridwan will not let this one go. He will stay with Lunacy as long as he can. And Lane will make sure that he can put up every single fight he can. And will not ride himself out. Here we go now. Three-way battle for the win. Lane Everingham with the track position still. Front tyres looking very sorry, and Lunacy looking for a way to overtake him. Surely it is a matter of when and not if, as Lunacy pokes the nose, but not there. All the time, losing time to Ridwan now. And he's got to get it done. Ridwan now with the line, who's going to go around the outside of the chicane. Is he going to be able to get this done? He's got a great overlap for this sweeping inside. Lunacy will be late on the brakes as he nearly collects. Was that touch? Was that a touch on Lane? As Ridwan still gets the move done. These guys are nose to tail coming through the final corner. Lane still leading. Ridwan now with a great one. Lunacy trying to figure out if he can get anything done. Tries to split the three of them, and Lane running mega defensive. Ridwan with the extreme outside. Looks for it and loses the spot to Lunacy, who now has a great opportunity to grab the overtake down the inside. Ridwan surely will be smart just to bump Lane here. Make sure he sticks ahead of him. And he does so. Very smart racing from Ridwan. Lane goes covering, and Lunacy not able to get the move done. Ridwan around the outside now. Is he going to make this work around the outside? No, not quite as Lane covers it, but Ridwan has enough of the car there and will take the lead now of the feature race in Alsace. And that's very wide for Lane, as he tags the wall and avoids damage. And there we have it. The two guys who we thought would be battling this one out have assumed the lead. And it is Ridwan leading Lunacy now for the final stint of the race. 3.5 laps to go. And these guys will be having at it. Lane now with blocky and curving in his mirrors. And that was a bit of a hold up. I'm sure none of these guys wanted. Lane would have lost a fair amount of time with that little excursion as well. Lunacy trying these different lines. That is a really strong part of the circuit for Lunacy. Able to put the GTR where it seems no one else can coming through the bowl, and Ridwan looks really front limited as well. Looks very stiff when it comes to these corners. Isn't able to free flow the car as much as Lunacy is. The GTR, as big as it is, it shifts its weight very well. You're able to manipulate it just to make sure it's going where you need it to, and Lunacy seems to have figured that out in a very short space of time. As he is all over him. Lane now still holding on to P3 with Blocky just outside a second, and within a second now coming out of the final corner, curving still within touching distance. Someone who is only 4 tenths off is Lunacy in the Kennedy Motorsport GTR. When was the last time we saw Kennedy Motorsport this competitive? May have actually been Fuji last season with VSR Roscoe Arm, who took the win over Ridwan actually in the Kennedy Motorsport C7, and Lunacy trying on the brakes here. Ridwan goes very deep. So Ridwan's defending mechanism here, it seems that he's just choosing to go very deep on the brakes to make sure these guys don't get down on him. He is not leaving anything to chance as Ridwan, and he wants this win. He had a unfortunate incident as we've got Orphan Drop in the chat actually. I can't wait to have you back for the sprint, mate. Not so happy with the fact that I'm calling Lunacy the best driver we've seen in Kennedy, as he looks down for the inside and Ridwan again covers it off, but I think Lunacy just thought better of it. But Jack, I don't think there is any shame in saying that Lunacy has is the best steerer to have taken this GTR this season. He is driving the absolute nuts off this thing, and it's showing as he's taking it to the defending series champion Ridwan, who is running defensive into just about every corner, and Lunacy trying to get that move done. He has looked so dangerous there every time we've come through. Look now back to Lane, who is now having to run very defensive contact there with Blocky front to rear, and the Lexus is getting very impatient in behind the man who used to be known as the Smeg. And Lunacy has actually lost a bit of ground, so didn't get the run up. Oh, as he throws that very deep at Ridwan. Can he get anything done there? And Lunacy, mental on the brakes there, did not expect that. Oh, mate, you're the voice of P1. There's absolutely no hiding that. I'm just going to choose to call you a liar here. I think these boys are putting on a hell of a show, and it's making it very, very easy to commentate. As Blocky now tries to get the move done around the outside of Lane. Lane is not an easy man to get around the outside, and Blocky is making it look like child's play. A little bit of contact there. Lane didn't want to give it up, and maybe a little bit of lag from Blocky too. We've seen this a few too many times from Blocky. And there it is. There's an overtake for the lead as well. Ridwan and Lunacy. Lunacy down the inside, but Ridwan with the inside lane. He's able to hold it now, but Lunacy knows he's got a bit of a run. He knows where he can overtake Ridwan, and he knows where this GTR's got its strengths. He is looking very strong now. Lunacy, who is showing Ridwan the full house that he's holding, as he's trying to chuck it in inside there, won't get it done. And he's just holding station a little bit more. Ridwan, who has got a fair bit more fuel than Lunacy. Lunacy's already got the fuel light up there alongside here going to the bowl. Lunacy has been so good in the bowl. Is he going to be able to get it done here? He has a higher exit speed. But Ridwan, who is parking the car in all the right places. Lunacy with more overlap than he's had before. This is definitely going to be done here. Lunacy's going to have the inside. They're side by side here. And Ridwan sliding out. Can he get the over-under? He does. Great line there from Ridwan. Oh, and what an overtake there. And Lunacy keeps the nose in, but he can't get it done. That's out of the grasp for Ridwan. This is so close to call here between these two absolute champions of our league. Lunacy, he's not giving this one up easily. And Ridwan runs it defensive. This is going to go all the way down the wire. Lunacy, did he touch the wall there? That was so close there. Using every pixel he can here around this French model track. One lap to go, folks, and Lunacy wants the inside. Ridwan's giving it to him. Oh, and it's a crucial mistake from Ridwan. He's trying to hang around the outside. There's contact. Lunacy parks him up at the apex. And Lunacy takes the lead for the first time convincingly with 1 lap to go. Kennedy Motorsport are in the lead. Car 8, the car that Orphan Drop is normally occupying. Jackie Perez, the voice of P1 GT, formerly. And Ridwan has let him through as he chucks it into the brakes. And Ridwan is going to be an absolute menace in the rear view of that GTR, as we see here. Go to the wrong onboard, and there we go, the rear view. We've got Tube here, who may help out his teammate in Ridwan. We can see that Supra is all over him, and it is stalking its prey. Lunacy going down to second gear here on the onboard, and Tube just wisely stepping out of the way for both of these guys. And it's a little wide for Lunacy. He can't quite get the nose in how he'd like. But clearly, Ridwan, who steps it out into the grass. That's a big area there for Ridwan. It's over 6 tenths now, the gap between these two. And we've seen here as well, Lunacy has been much stronger through this bowl section. And it looks like he may have had the big fight. That may be Lunacy, who is clear now. We'll go back to the moment it all happened. This is when Lunacy really shaped him up. That is when he really went side by side with him and made him work for it. And Ridwan had the big battle there, but it's now Lunacy who is in the lead. A short sector remaining here for Lunacy, and it's looking ever so likely now. He's so tight on fuel as well. Ridwan's definitely used up a fair bit more in the final lap, but Lunacy with a 3/10 gap. Ridwan wants to make it happen. Can he? Oh, it's so close. Lunacy out of the final corner. Has he got enough fuel? He does. Lunacy wins it by a 10th and a half over Ridwan. What a battle between these guys. Blocky comes across the line for P3. Curving Texas makes it P4. And Lane just gets P5 by 0.003 of a second to Tim Am, who provided a great comeback for PCBRD. And how did this happen? Prying Stingray, a man who we saw in the wall so early on in the race, has come back for 7th place. Put your hands together. That is a flawless drive from Stingray. How has he managed that? And Banana spins it across the line. BK and P9 are actually not too keen on people spinning across the line. K and P10. Dynamite, what could have been back at P11. And Bodhod, someone else who I'm sure will be ruining his own mistakes. Bodhod, who was caught on a visible wall very early on in the fold and killed any chance he had of a decent result. And he'll come off for P12. Urgent, who will be one of the 2 ring-ins for FP Autosport, will come across in P13 and bringing home Prezzo's car, who he will take that car back actually for the sprint and take it from the rear of the grid. And that car's seen better days and better positions. Jamo in P14, and there are our official results. And it's Tube, the other ring in P15. But what a race we saw between the 2 heavyweights of our league, Lunacy and Ridwan. And it was Lunacy who took the clean sweep, pole position, fastest lap, clean race, and the race win for the reserve. What a fantastic drive from Lunacy. And we're going to go for a short 5-minute break here. And I'm going to get myself a drink because that was intense. Fantastic. As we return here, and that is Prezzo and Orphan Drop, who have now returned to the game. And Curving Texas just saying in our team chat as well, that is a brilliant team result for Revo, and I'm sure I can agree. That is all 3 Revo cars inside the top 7. And I think the only other team, actually we are the only team to have more than 2 cars in the top 7. And a fantastic result for the reigning champions. Second 911 of BCP in P8, BK and Kane coming across for 9 and 10. So not a terrible result there for the Kennedy Motorsport GTRs. As we have a nice little swig of Smirnoff Ice there. That is absolute commentary juice. And Prezzo is back. Absolutely right. You'll have a hard task to come from the back, mate. But we know you like those. Dynamite and Bodhod in the max speed Jags, 11 and 12, so a bit of a disappointing day for those guys. Urgent, Jamo and Tube rounding out the top 15 with the Supra, the 911 and the 3rd Supra. There we go with an entry track, so I'm not sure exactly how much of a break we're going to have. My throat is starting to absolutely kill me. GG's indeed, so it should be 15, which means we should see. There he is, the Stone Towel. The man who normally occupies car number 5 is back. And if we see Orphan Drop as well, the number 8. So this is weird. The man who literally just won our feature race, Lunacy, has stepped out. So he will hand over the keys to the GTR. The number 8 GTR as well, the exact same car, back to Orphan Drop. and he will try and take that car from the rear of the grid. Going to be a very interesting race to see how these guys go. And I think the tyre strategy as well is going to be very interesting, just to see what these guys go with. The drivers towards the back of the grid surely more keen to go on the mediums, just to try not to waste any of this pace of the soft tyre. But a 16 lap race, this is going to be, yeah, it's going to be right on the cusp of what's available in terms of the life of the soft tyres. I've heard a couple of team owners talk about trying to run the softs as far as possible. So just run the mediums real short, soft all the way. That's the very heavy tyre way of doing it. But it is a very strong undercut here. And then of course there have been a few people chatting just about trying to get a two-stop going in a short 16 lap race. So I think we've seen from what happened in that race there that that's probably possible. But these guys don't need to run nearly as long on the mediums, so probably not viable either. Have a look here, that is Orphandrop, who is out now. Orphandrop, who was very politely saying I was putting him to shame, which again I'll disagree with. And he's going to be following up on, yeah, that's a hard man to follow. To have Lunacy win the race in your car and then try and do the exact same thing the next race is going to be tough for him. Doable, absolutely. We've seen just how quick this GTR is, and Jack can absolutely get the best out of it. We'll see how far up the field. Obviously starting towards the back, not ideal for the guy who has not run a single lap of this place tonight, that is. As he slides the tail out there, giving us something to look at. And this GTR has always been a presence on track, it's easier to say. A big beefy car where everywhere you go you know exactly what car it is that's coming around. It's a very iconic gearbox diff whine that you hear from it with the VQ powering it up. Go here to another iconic car, the Porsche 911 RSR. As BCP has been given the go-ahead to start this one and get race 2, the sprint underway. If you don't know our sprint format already, it is the entire grid reversed. So we see all the drivers who were towards the back start up the front, get a chance at a bit of glory, and everyone who was up the tippy top of that one gets relegated right to the back with it all to do. And that is exactly what we're about to see now. Loading up here for race 2 of round 3. And it will be Tube and BNZ off pole position with Jamo, Bodhod and Dynamite Kane rounding out your top 5. Bodhod and Dynamite surely the favourites to try and scare people. We've got Tube on the mediums, Jam on the mediums, and Bodhod and Dynamite. Bodhod on the softs, Dynamite on the mediums. Here we go, 4 lights, 5 lights. And away we go, Tube trying to tame that Supra off the start, but Jamo with a fantastic start. Look at the gap he's pulled already, and Bodhod trying to make something work. Bodhod, who is on the soft tyre, remember, and gets it done around the outside straight away. Oh, there's contact, Bodhod! And straight into the fence goes Bodhod. So that is race over straight away for Bodhod. Contact with Jamo, and that is about as unfortunate as it gets. That would have been, it's very early to say, but that would have been a Bodhod win. I am very sure. That was the right strategy to be going with, as we see Tube out very wide. He's slipping through the order. He's gone from 1st back to 10th as quickly as you can count it. And we see here Dynamite has inherited the lead from that era with Bodhod. And Shamo and Stingray in P2 and P3. And Tube out wide again, so that's back to P14 for Tube. And it's a very dejected Bodhod who is following these guys around with massive damage, and that is a huge shame for Bodhod, so absolutely gutted for him. This has been a race to forget for him. And we'll try and see if these max speed guys can make it up. BCP, who's gotten a much better start in the last race, and these front runners started to come through the field. It doesn't look like any of the top 4 are starting on soft, so that leaves a huge opportunity for the guys coming through on softs, if there are any actually. Prezzo here running very wide. That was a spin in the background. Oh, Ridwan! That's Ridwan in the fence. We'll quickly look at actually what transpired at turn 1. And we'll look here as Bodhod ran the outside. There was definite contact there with Jamo. And Bodhod there just seems like he's made his own mistake. Parked it in the fence. We're not going to be able to catch what's happened with Ridwan, unfortunately. But Ridwan and Bodhod, who have made huge errors at the start of this race and have been left right down the back. So the comeback in the championship not going so well for Ridwan, as was Tube, who has just sidestepped him. Check in here as Orphan actually has started the soft tyres. So that's going to be a tough one to come back from. Probably not the right call. And Stoke Towel just pulling aside as well on the mediums. So perhaps BK as well on the softs. No, BK on the mediums as well. So BK would be smart to let his teammate go here. As the GTRs go side by side. A great sight here. And surely BK just lets this one slide off and drop on the quicker softs. And it would be a very smart thing to do as a team owner, to let your fellow driver on soft tyres lead the way. And BK is still fighting this one a fair bit more than I would expect him to. Probably cost them both a bit of time. I expect they'll get it sorted out sooner rather than later. So what we've seen then is all of the field has started on the mediums except for Bodhod and Orphan Drop. So this is a completely clean slate, and what we're seeing is what we're going to see at the finish. So Dynamite, with the straight free kick from the Bodhod incident at turn 1, has taken the lead. Only 7 tenths now separates himself, 6 tenths. Himself and Stingray. And Stingray, who we mentioned before, is one of the most dangerous drivers on the grid. He is absolutely lethal in his overtakes. It's less than 3 tenths. So Dynamite's made a huge mistake coming over that hill, and Stingray wants to take every opportunity to show he can win this race. Now, I'm not sure if I've told anyone this, but I very much compare the likes of Brian Stingray to Dan Tickton. I think he's someone who is well known for being a bit of a persona on the grid. He says things, he doesn't care what he says, he doesn't care who he pisses off. Stingray races for Stingray, and that is one of the reasons he is probably one of the most well-respected drivers on the grid. He's been here for so long, and he's trying to pull around the outside here to get the inside for turn 3, and he gets it done, despite Stingray Dynamite with not a lot of option in the matter. And Stingray gets that move done and puts the 78 Lexus into the lead for the first time today. Dynamite now will just have to figure out what he wants to do with this. He can either stick behind, save a bit of fuel, and try and keep the battle going. But I think Stingray's got a bit more pace than what Dynamite does at this stage. Jamo here, who has made a fantastic start in the Porsche. On the mediums, Jamo. And Tim just behind him. And Tim has actually been closing that gap slowly with curving and lane following up. So Tim will have to think really wisely about getting this job done on Jamo, trying to maximise the time so that he's not caught by the Revo and the max speed driver behind him. And he's just having a look now, and surely Jamo would be smart just to let this one happen. And Jamo sidesteps it. And if he can here, he'd fight off curving just to save a little bit of time for Tim. These guys are on the same strategy, so holding off curving will be very beneficial to his race at the end. Curving now knows fully what's at stake. As he'll go now side by side, around the outside of the chicane. And we just love to see these moves happen. He's outbroken him already. That is fantastic from Curving Texas. As he runs a little bit wider. And Jamo with slightly less straight line speed than Curving. He'll have the benefit of the slipstream, but I'm not sure he can retaliate to this one, as Curving puts it out of doubt there and accelerates out of turn 1. So Jamo there losing 2 spots in less than half a lap. Less than ideal. He might be able to have something to say about this coming up here, but would probably be smarter just staying in the slipstream. Curving's definitely got more pace than Jamo does at this stage, and Jamo definitely knows it there. A lift off before the braking zone, and Jamo will stay behind. Fair amount of lag there from Jamo. Hopefully that one gets itself sorted. Lane there in P6. someone who was looking very good to win the race early on. It's just been holding quiet, 5.8 seconds off the lead now, and a lot of cars between himself and podium position, as that is Orphan Drop trying to get the move on Kane. Kane as well should be smart just to let Orphan Drop go. On the soft tyres, needs to maximise every single position he can. He hasn't had the pace so far that he should on the soft tyres. He runs it very wide there. And Orphan Drop just becoming acclimatised to the Alsace circuit and finding it very difficult to get past these guys who have already ran a full 22 lap race and qualifying session. Which is fair enough. Not going to hold it against him. It's an awkward situation he finds himself in, trying to come through on the faster tyre with less practice. As Kane has just let him go there. And Orphan Drop should be able to find a little more time stretching his legs. Here we go, Blocky Rex, who has been very quiet. He hasn't made any inroads really on the top couple of drivers. He finished P3 in the first race, so it was a great result. The top of the Revo Satellite Racing drivers. And he's P9 currently, so we see maybe a curving Texas. That was Ridwan. That Ridwan lost it. He's just made the fence, I think. And Ridwan will choose to come in now. So curving and Blocky and Ridwan all choosing just to come into the pits now. We'll see if we can catch a better view of what just happened to Ridwan. It seems like he just stepped on the loud pedal, but Ridwan already had fair damage to the rear of his Supra. Yep, so caught the curb and a fair amount of go pedal for Ridwan. As he's exited the pits near in traffic with Banana as well, who has just taken a service for fresh softs. And these guys are going to have a very juicy undercut going for them. But I'm not quite sure it's going to be enough to fight off Prying Stingray. Now Stingray, his initial plan was to pit on lap 4 for the medium tyres, but he's got this nice little gap here. He's got 1.8 seconds to Dynamite. He had a very nice gap to the first of the new soft runners, which I believe would be curving. So he can afford just to stay out an extra lap, maybe another 2 laps, and still come out ahead of curving. And this may shape up very nicely for the Revo teammates. Blocky as well, who has found himself in a bit of traffic, I think he would put it. He knows he's got more pace than BK, but hasn't really run the race that he needs to so far. BK, a bit of a wizard when it comes to defending, tends to put up a fair challenge, I think a lot of people would say. He's not an easy man to defend from, or to attack. As Blocky here looking for any way past he can, not getting it done. And we'll see if Stingray dives into the pits this time by probably staying out one more lap. And no, he chooses to come in this lap. And Dynamite will follow him in 62. Dynamite using a bit more fuel. Tim as well following him. Jamo will stay out from the looks of things. So Jamo will lead Orphan Drop and Lane and Kane as well. Lane and Kane. And if these guys continue to battle, they may do themselves a little more harm than good. Orphan Drop on the soft tyres, and we'll see how these guys are all going to shape out at pit exit. As Prying Stingray is going to take the lead, so the effective lead, I should say, as Tim Man, out of nowhere kind of, has ended up in effective P2. That is very close to Stingray. So is Stingray maybe taking a bit of fuel there? Yes, Stingray's definitely fueled up. So Stingray wants all the tools in the arsenal just to send this Lexus to the end. Little concerned he may have put in a bit too much fuel for the situation at hand. A heavier car does not always mean a better car, especially when you're trying to save tyres. We see now this lead battle. Orphan Drop, who has managed to take the lead now away from Jamo, who has slipped down to P3, and Lane up into P2. As he bowls another wide there, Jamo coming into the final half of the circuit, and Orphan Drop will be needing to get something done on these soft tyres. Build a bit of a gap to these guys behind, because P5 and backwards is already on their fresh softs. So he will be losing time by the second. And he's doing what he needs to with a purple sector there, and looking like it will be a quickest lap of the race if he doesn't do stuff like that. So just tiny little mistakes creeping in here from Orphan Drop. He's just not quite brushed up with this circuit. And it's going to be a hard second half of the race for Orphan Drop if this keeps happening. Stingray looking comfortable at the front right now with Kane. What just happened there with Kane? That's fair amount of damage to the front. So he's had it coming together here with Jamo, it looks like. And he's just, oh, he's kept the foot in it as well. So he's ended up in the wall and he's put it across. That's really awkward. So Kane not having the day he would have hoped for either in that GTR. And Prezzo there sitting at 52.3 on the fresher softs. That's Jamo just rejoining ahead of him, who was just involved with an incident that we looked at. And with a better exit, you'd think Prezzo should be able to just dive down the inside here if Jamo lets him. And we'll see. Jamo, who's been having a very good race so far, won't be too keen to let this one go. Might not have an absolute say in the matter as the stone tower goes flying down the inside. And this is looking like a very tidy race so far for the man who just took over his number 5 Supra. Look up to the front with Orphan Drop, who did a 52.9 last time out. And Lane with a 53.1. He's running a bit of a longer strat. So he's going to lose a lot of time initially on this pit stop. It's an 8.5 second stop, beg your pardon, 4 tyres, no fuel, and that'll put him probably about 9.1. He will probably be in this little gap between Curving and Dynamite with a lot of cars to pass. And remember, that will be a net P4, maybe P5 if Dynamite is able to bridge this gap a little bit more. He's running PB pace at the moment, is Dynamite, so I expect that he will probably close in this gap to Lane, is still on the mediums lane, who I expect to run for possibly another lap or two. Oh, as he gets it very sideways in the braking zone. Easy to do there if you leave the car on the curb. It just sort of locks up on the slippery stuff. And Lane, as expected, will stay out another lap behind Orphan Drop and just enjoy a bit of nice tow as prying Stingray behind them does a 51.3 and is now within 2 seconds of Lane. So Stingray, who is looking for amends after what happened in race 1, he's looking for a bit of a redemption, and he's looking for a race win, is prying Stingray. It would be his first of the season after he missed round 1 and had a bit of a lackluster round 2. It wasn't terrible, it was fantastic round points in the end. It wasn't quite carrying the win that Stingray would have liked to have seen. Tim out as well as came from absolutely nowhere, a 51.7 last lap, so Tim has found some serious pace in this Porsche. We said earlier in the stint as well, actually I believe it was before qualifying, that Tim was really struggling with this Porsche. Just not really wrapping his head around why the front end understeers so much on exit, trying to modulate the throttle on apex and try get around the way of driving this Porsche. One of actually the most popular car in the FIA Manufacturer Series for the last 3 or 4 years. But it is always very difficult to get maximum pace out of, as Tim has been finding out this season. Curving Texas, who is adapting a fair bit better to the Lexus RCF, it could be said. And he is currently chasing down Tim, a 51.6 last time out, so he is closing down that gap. And he's looking very good for a podium finish towards the end of this one. Orphan Drop and Lane now with prying Stingray right behind them. We'll have a look at this from Stingray's point of view. Orphan Drop running very deep there, and you just get the feeling his soft tyres have seen better days. As Lane now saying now is the time to pit, and not holding up Stingray that too much, as he's got one more car before he can retake the lead. We have it in the tow. He might be a little bit too far back to get anything done on Orphan Drop this time. That is a very quick car in a straight line. It's GTR. We'll have a look now at Lane, who has rejoined in 8th place, so a much bigger loss than I was expecting for Lane, who has Orphan Drop breathing down his neck. Orphan Drop may even think about a move here. He's definitely got the run. Lane will be smart to defend this one, as we know Prezzo loves to go for a move. And this one may be a little bit too much for him. Lane outbrakes him on the fresher tyres. Now Prezzo, probably better he didn't pull that move off. Lane on very, very fresh soft tyres. Literally just come out of the pits. And Prezzo on lap 6 now of this stint. Tried for a very, very deep undercut. and it's not quite going to work out for him based on this pace. But he's Stingray, who ran a little bit longer than what was projected and is reaping the rewards. He's now cleared Orphan Drop. He's done that in Sector 2. And Orphan Drop here is probably just going to step aside when Tim gets to him. Or he'll be in this lap. And it'll be a slightly shorter medium stint to the flag for Orphan Drop, who, remember, has just taken up his seat in the number 8 GTR. He had the Lunacy win the race in his place as Orphan Drop runs a very wide and scratches the wall. And I think that is a fair sign that those softs have seen better days. Tim now, who is coming at him very quickly, running mid to low 52s, and just might attack the wall there, Tim. And Orphan actually will continue. So this is a strangely long stint on the mediums, on the softs, I beg your pardon, for Orphan Drop. And losing more time than he'll be gaining at this stage. Running 10 laps, surely to be this lap or nothing for Orphan Drop. Might as well run the whole race of them if he doesn't pit now. And we'll watch here now as Tim on board with the 911 will surely send it up the inside of Orphan Drop and gets the move done. Little bit of contact on exit. That big GTR with a lot of power to put down to the road. And when it does so, it launches out of corners. But now Tim using that extra grip and has cleared away from the Kennedy Motorsport driver. He won't have much more to say about it. Next up though, Curving Texas, who will surely throw it at Orphan Drop in much the same manner as we saw Tim. Curving, who has been very kind on his tyres, probably the best on tyres out of the 3 Revo Satellite Racing drivers so far. But has seen a bit of a letdown in the fuel management way of things. And that's what has cost him a little bit in the races. Longer pit stop times, a bit more fuel needed. Luckily, that won't affect if he's able to get this move done. Tex now looking for any way he can past Orphan Drop. He's getting a nice tow here down the straight parts. With a much narrower run, he's able to get this fairly way alongside and gets the move done. Great traction there. Just using the softer rubber, fresh softer rubber. And Orphan Drop is left absolutely defenseless. And surely we'll see this GTR come to the pits. He's dropped into the 55s last lap, so losing nearly 4 seconds per lap to these guys on fresh. And he's continuing. Oh, I don't know what to say at this stage. That was a 54.6 from Orphan, so he's picked up the pace a little bit more. This is hurting now. BK under assault from Blocky Rex. And we said before, BK has a lot to brag about in his defensive capabilities, but this is holding up Lane something fierce. Lane, who is clearly on the freshest set of softs in the group, will be bleeding time to these guys. Did a 52 flat last time out, so not quite the pace we've seen for Stingray. Blocky's putting on the hard defense to the max speed. Team owner as Blocky then tries to get a move done on BK in the same move. These 3 nearly running at 3 abreast coming into this left-hander, and they all file in somehow. Just have a look at this onboard from Dynamite. He'll be able to see everything going on in front of him as he brakes a little bit late. And Dynamite as well has got enough tyre underneath him. He can probably make something happen if Lane can get the move done on Blocky, or Blocky can get it done on BK. But at this stage, BK forming what is commonly known as a truly train. And Blocky doing what is known as the Blocky lag. There we go. You can see Dynamite a lot weaker in the bowl section than any of the 3 ahead of him. Those guys just checking out 8 tenths just from that one corner. And then Dynamite should be able to reel it all back here as he goes a little bit deep to Lane. And Dynamite with a sniff, but look who's joining the party. If you couldn't see already, it is Ridwan, who's now in with a chance. We saw him in the wars and in the wall earlier on in the race, and has bounced back with, what's that, 1, 2, 3. That's 5 straight 51s from Ridwan after he made his pit stop. But Ridwan's certainly not giving up on this one and likes his chances, and I don't believe Orphan Drop has come in this lap either. He has. So the Kennedy Motorsport driver, who will surely drop back to... he's going to go well back in the top 10. Maybe just ahead of his compatriot brother, Stone Tao, and he's actually going to be a tad behind him but with fresh and medium should get the job done. Got a Stingray who has thus far been untouched up the front. It is still 5 seconds remaining. 5 laps remaining. My apologies for Stingray. As well for Timian, who is just keeping that gap to Curving Texas at the moment. And Curving's actually using a fair bit more of his front tyre than Timian. And may have to just concede this one. He has still extended the gap to BK, who I assume is still putting on an absolute kamikaze defense show. And too right I am. Lane, Blocky Dynamite, and Ridwan all following in close succession. We'll get a better view of this one. Watching from the back of a pack like this is something special always. And it's great to be a part of when you get the opportunity. Dynamite defending just slightly from Ridwan. And Ridwan should know he's got a bit more pace than Dynamite in this bowl. Look at him, Dynamite much slower in the bowl. And that's going to be a hard one for Ridwan to judge. As Dynamite gets the run out, he might have enough overlap here to fire it. Much like we saw Lunacy do to him in the previous race. Not quite. There we go. That was a side-by-side battle for fourth here between BK and Lane, and BK wins out for now. BK, who is fighting for his first top 4 of the season. I believe it was a P5 finish at Red Bull Ring. And he's yet to put it in the top 4 or the podium, can be said. As Lane is looking for a straight run. Coming onto the main straight, that's a good run there from Max Speed. Just misses out on making contact, getting a great run coming across the line, but he's got the outside line into turn 1. And he's going to try to send it anyway, but BK knows better of it and cuts him off. So BK showing why he is the Kennedy Motorsport top dog. And Jackie Prez will absolutely hate the fact that I just said that. BK with a great defensive effort so far. He may have let it slip a little bit. Lane firing down the inside here, and he sends it in, but he's still got the grip to keep it going. And BK with very little in the way of defense that one, but he might have overlap here. And he thought about it, and he's very close here actually going into it. Lane's going to have to go defensive. Dynamite in the background, just stepping a little bit wider. And I think BK just got out of that one a little bit, as these guys will go side by side in the background. Ridwan trying to get a move done on the second max speed driver. And Ridwan will be so frustrated by the error he made. Hasn't quite been the perfect return to form that we expected to see from Ridwan. Of course, has been with FP Autosport his entire P1 GC career. And again, Dynamite a lot slower coming through the bowl section. Just allows Ridwan to get up to the back of him. And Ridwan, nothing you do there. It doesn't actually look like Lane's been able to clear out. Even on the fresher softs, it seems like the best of those tyres have just gone. And I would definitely say now there's no chance. Only 3 laps remaining. I don't think there's any way he's catching onto the back of Curving. And Curving, I think, has just dropped off the back of Tim a little bit. Oh, he's slightly sideways there as we caught him. It's on the low 53, so it's not bad pace from Curving Texas, the second Revo car on the podium. Go on here with Lane and BK, who are still defending from Blocky, Dynamite, and Ridwan. That's very sideways from BK. That's going to give Blocky a great opportunity to get something done here. And look at the run he's getting. This Lexus not exactly short on legs. Pulls out of the slipstream early. And much too early from the looks of things. As this is a lot of lag we're seeing now from Blocky. And I'll be hoping he doesn't disconnect at this rate. We'll stop watching him to try and avoid the curse. Go back to Dynamite and Ridwan. Ridwan surely on fresher tyres. Yes, fresher tyres and less fuel than Dynamite. Maybe finding himself a little bit fuel limited, but should have been able to clear through this pack. You can see the moment he's gotten up to the back of it, he's gone from mid to high 51 straight to the 53s and 54s. So Ridwan just not able to make a mark in this pack and struggling a little bit more than any of us would have expected to get by Dynamite, the Jag. We'll see here. We'll see if he can wise up to the way Dynamite's taking this corner. And I have a feeling they still made contact there. So Ridwan just not able to avoid the slower Jag mid-corner. And is forced to find another way around. Ridwan might carry the speed here. Look at this. And there might have been contact there actually. So Dynamite's just actually been escorted wide. And we'll see if there's a bit of contact between these two. Nope, that was all Dynamite, who has just absolutely overcooked that one. And Ridwan has inherited P7 as a result, going after his good friend Blocky Rex. And these two have always had a bit of a love-hate relationship. Mostly hate, it must be said. And Ridwan finding a bit more of his mojo back into the 52s. And it's about time with Blocky and BK in his sights. And this should be something a P1 GT champion should snap up. Here he goes, a better run, better straight line than that Lexus. Blocky just running slightly defensive, but allows it to happen. And Ridwan down the inside. The first opportunity very sideways, but Blocky can't do anything about it. And that's P6 for Ridwan. Blocky hanging on for dear life, but I'm not sure he's got the front tyre with to try and compete with this man, who is now making it look easy. That's 2 passes in the space of a lap, and could be trying to make it 3 very shortly, with BK only 8 tenths off the road. Check in a little further down the back as these guys look to be battling very hard at the moment. Orphan Drop sort of struggling on the mediums, running in the 54s and 55s last couple of laps out. Jamo running consistent high 53s, so great pace there for the BCPRD driver. And Stone Towel on a very, very abused set of softs, running in the 55s as well. Check in with Kane running decently quick times, so that's damage to Kane's car, and there is not a chance he will make the flag with that amount of fuel. So Kane will have to stop again for probably some damage. Some quick panel beating from the Kennedy Motorsport boys. And he's going to have to get a bit more as he runs it out into the dirt there. Kane, who is not particularly well known for his car control skills when he's in a slide. Was very close to meeting Mr. Armco again. He's run out of fuel there, so Kane, a lap short on fuel, will be coming in again. BCP he's a little bit far off to benefit from this one actually. And he's had a shocking race so far. Out in P13, shows us just what he can do with the Porsche. That's a fresh set of softs. So he will be absolutely punching out a fastest lap, I'm sure. Tube back in P14, who has dropped his pace down to 53s, so a little bit more respectable for Tube, who is finding his FP Autosport debut a little bit difficult. And Bodhod ran a 51.7 last time out. We know the pace Bodhod's got, and it's just an absolute shame it's turned to this. As the final driver on the lead lap begins the lead lap. The final lap. The final lead lap. Yes. And it's going to be Stingray, who by some margin at the moment, 5.4 seconds, he has got. Prying Stingray, you can see there on the right. And it has been a very tidy run here from the Revo Satellite Racing driver. He's come over straight from BCPRD. And he has immediately gelled with the car, a car that he did bits in back with max speed, with Lane Everingham as his team boss. Well, he's got Vipers as his team boss, and he is loving life at Reverse Satellite Racing. Prying Stingray in the sprint race takes the win in the Lexus. Tim-Man finally gelling with that Porsche 911 will take P2. A fantastic result there for the BCPRD squad, and Curving Texas rounds out what has been a great round for him as P3. Lane Everingham not quite able to overcome the gap for P4. BK will come for P5. Blocky just holding off for P6. Ridwan P7. Dynamite choosing to come across the pit lane for P8. Orphan Drop for P9. Stone Tail just holding off Jamo for P10 and P11 respectively. Kane, who has had a very difficult race. A very, very difficult race. Ran out of fuel on the penultimate lap and needed to pit again. Kane, who gets on the loud pedal out of the final corner. I think he will be glad to see the rear of this place. And he comes across in P12. And Banana, who is currently setting PBs. It's not quite a purple lap, but it's not far off one either. A 52.2 for Banana leaves him in P13 for the race. And now to round out the field is Tube, who has done a very nice job to fill in for Wagsy in P14. Well done to Tube on his Project 1 FP Autosport debut. And it'll be Bodhod who slides it across the line in P15 and kisses the wall after what has been a shocking night for him. But there you have it. It's Prying Stingray who took the spoils in the end. A fantastic race here for the man who is looking very, very likely to take it to these championship protagonists. And what a race that has been, as we see a max speed car absolutely fly at us in the foreground there. And that was, I think that sums up tonight's events, I think. That was a fantastic bit of racing we had. Ridwan, clearly not too happy with what's gone down. And Bodhod, yeah, not too keen either. But that will be Revo Satellite Racing that is leading the team's championship now. Everyone is filing out. I better save the replay. And it will be Curving Texas now leading the championship after what has been a very solid round. And I think that is where we leave you. Thank you all so much for tuning in. That was a fantastic round. Congratulations to Lunacy and Stingray on their wins respectively, as well as everyone for seeing the night out. And we can't wait to see you next round for the first Enduro of the season at Le Mans. And we will see you all there. Thank you.